I am exploring alone in the second largest karst forest in the world, surviving for 100 days deep within the jungle. This is an epic journey to understand the wilderness on a deeper level. From discovering a blue lagoon hidden in the heart of the forest and traversing exotic ancient tunnels, to a challenging quest to locate the habitat of the wild jungle fowl. I am expanding my skills in shelter building, demonstrating how to weave a roof from leaves and mastering the techniques to construct a comfortable bushcraft shelter. My knowledge of foraging continues to grow as I introduce simple natural materials to craft traditional weapons and test my archery skills for survival. Scouring the wilderness to find the jungle fowl's habitat, hunting and processing food are the keys to surviving and avoiding starvation. I also show how to process palm flour or sago into an appetizing meal. Enjoying the forest atmosphere day by day, hunting at night, encountering rare animals, catching jungle crabs, and sleeping soundly in my shelter. This is the story of tropical survival, exploring the wilderness. Enjoy the video. On a bright morning, amidst the lush canopy and the towering karst rock formations of the Sulawesi rainforest, I begin packing all my gear into my carrier bag, ensuring nothing is left behind. Once everything is ready, it's time to continue the journey upstream to find the jungle fowl habitat. This is my second day of exploration, ensuring the forest conditions are stable and training myself to survive in this magical land. However, the weather suddenly shifts. It looks like there is rain upstream, so I immediately attach my rain cover to keep my equipment dry. I press on, hoping the rain holds off until I reach my targeted location. Up ahead, I see a slightly open area of the forest. I move closer to investigate and discover a truly exotic lagoon. The water is a striking blue, indicating it is quite deep and very tempting for a swim. But with rain upstream, swimming is not a good idea. Flash floods can arrive suddenly, even if it hasn't rained here yet. I leave the spot and stumble upon a unique river corridor that looks neatly arranged, resembling a tunnel. The curvature of the river walls seems intentionally carved, but these are actually natural formations created over millions of years. This corridor consists of limestone eroded by water containing carbonic acid, like rainwater. Although beautiful, this tunnel hides a terrifying danger. If a flash flood hits, anyone inside could be trapped and swept away by the violent current with no escape. That is why I am keeping this location secret, to prevent any accidents due to lack of preparation. Continuing my journey, I find a loa tree, Ficus racemose, with abundant fruit. This plant from the ficus genus is closely related to the fig, Moraceae. The young fruit is yellowish green, while the ripe ones are pink. These trees usually grow near rivers and are a food source for bats, birds, and monkeys. I taste a ripe fruit. The flesh is soft, sweet, reminding me briefly of papaya and non-toxic. However, one must be careful, as inside there is often a pollinating insect called the fig wasp. After satisfying my hunger with the loa fruit, I follow the small river upstream. The path is very slippery, so I have to choose my footing carefully to avoid falling. Before long, I find droppings of a wild jungle fowl. This area is abundant with red jungle fowl, Gallus gallus, the ancestor of the domestic chicken, living freely and feeding on insects and seeds. Seeing the pristine surroundings, I decide to look for an area to build a shelter. I find an ideal spot beside a small creek with a clear spring and flat ground. I start by clearing the area, then search for fallen wood for the frame to avoid cutting down living trees. I cut and transport the wood. Next, I gather natural vines to tie the frame. I plant the first 2 poles to form a cross and tie them securely, followed by the other poles and the central beam. For the roof, I place medium-sized wood as the frame. Once the frame is complete, I look for dead wood for the floor base, cut it, and place it inside the shelter frame. For the flooring, I use climbing bamboo, Dinacloa scandens, which grows densely among the karst rocks. This bamboo is unique because it can climb up to 40 meters. I only cut the stems that grow outwards to avoid damaging the clump. Once gathered, the bamboo is arranged neatly as a floor to protect me from rainwater flow and insects. Next, I gather leaves for the roof. This shelter is made from 100% organic materials. The leaves are arranged on small sticks, spread evenly, then clamped with another stick and tied. I make 7 sheets of roofing, 3 on the left, 3 on the right, and 1 at the back as a wall. The roof installation is done from bottom to top to ensure rainwater flows off properly. It rained briefly during the installation, but I continued once it subsided until the shelter was finished. This shelter will only last about 7 days before decomposing into organic fertilizer. With the shelter ready, I build a fire pit. I plant 3 bamboos to form a cone and tie them. I gather firewood from dead trees, cut it with a saw, split it with an axe, and stack it inside the shelter. I also make a simple stove using 3 medium-sized stones. Now it's time to find food. I find feathers of a female jungle fowl and decide to set a trap in the area. I gather wood and twigs, then craft the trap components: a spring pole, 1.5 meters, a 7-shaped branched stake, 20 centimeters, a post, 20 centimeters, a locking pin, 5 centimeters, a main trigger, 20 centimeters, and 3 support triggers. I plant the spring pole, stake, and post. I place the trigger, then tie a nylon fishing line to the end of the spring pole. The locking pin is tied to the string, then I pull the spring pole down and hook the locking pin onto the stake connected to the main trigger. A slip knot is made at the end. Finally, I fence the trap with twigs to guide the jungle fowl through the trigger path and place a cross stake so the bird's foot steps exactly on the trigger. The trap is set and will be checked tomorrow morning.
I proceed to make hunting tools, but first, a navigation tip. Breaking twigs can serve as direction markers to avoid getting lost. If you are lost, look for a tree with buttress roots. Hitting these roots with a hard object produces a booming sound that can be heard up to 2 to 3 kilometers to signal for help. Then I find a clump of thorny bamboo, Bambusa bloomiana. This bamboo is incredibly strong for making bows. I clear the dense thorns, climb the tree to cut the tangled tip, and drop it. Back at the shelter, I split the bamboo and shave it carefully to create a flexible and smooth bow. For the arrows, I also use bamboo, smoothed until perfectly straight for accuracy. I make 5 arrows and attach steel arrowheads using cordage made from the inner bark of the yaki jambu tree. Since tree bark isn't strong enough for the bowstring, I find old rattan, split and shave it until smooth, then knot both ends and attach it to the bow. I also make a simple quiver from bamboo.
After testing the bow's stability on a tree with satisfactory results, I prepare to hunt. I take off my shirt so the prey won't be spooked by seeing me. Near the spring, I spot a female jungle fowl in a tree. The first shot misses, but on the next attempt, with full focus, I successfully take it down. Hitting the target, I immediately dress the bird properly. Before returning, I pick wild hog plum leaves, also known as chem leaves, a spice that pairs well with meat. At the shelter, I start a fire using bamboo shavings. I burn the jungle fowl briefly to make plucking the feathers easier, then clean the internal organs and wash the bird. I sear it again to remove fine feathers and bring out a smoky aroma. Once half cooked, I chop it into small pieces, wash it, and boil it. I roughly chop the young hog plum leaves and add them to the boiling chicken, along with a little salt. Jungle fowl meat is tough and needs a long time to cook. I let it boil for 15 minutes.
While waiting, I cooked the sago, palm flour, I made yesterday. The flour is dissolved in water until liquid, then doused with boiling water while stirring until it thickens and turns clear, a sign it is cooked. This sago dough is formed into jelly balls using 2 sticks and dropped into cold water to prevent sticking. This traditional menu, called kapurung in Sulawesi, or papeda in Papua, is finally ready. The jungle fowl soup is served in a wooden bowl with the sago balls. It tastes incredibly savory. The distinct aroma of the jungle fowl blends with the fresh sourness of the hog plum leaves, which removes any gamey smell. Absolutely delicious.
After eating and organizing my tools, the sun begins to set. I turn on my light and prepare for night hunting, spotlighting. In the darkness, I spot rare animals, the tarsier, the world's smallest primate, and the Sulawesi palm civet, which has markings resembling a tiger. Since they are protected, I do not disturb them. I continue along the river and catch river crabs.
After getting enough, I return to the shelter, hang the crabs for tomorrow, take off my clothes, and sleep in my sleeping bag.
Birdsong marks the arrival of the morning of day 3. I wake up to welcome a serene morning in the Sulawesi rainforest. I conduct this research and observation as a form of devotion to the ancestral land where I was born. This forest is a mother to me. After relaxing, I prepared to find additional ingredients to cook the crabs. Thank you for your support. May luck always be on your side. See you in the next episode. This is Tropical Survival signing off. Salam Lestari.